How much protein do you really need? This question is as old as fitness itself, and it's one of those things beginners ask me about all the time. Now, you might think that figuring out your perfect intake is easy and super straightforward. But to be honest, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. That's because your protein intake will depend on a variety of factors, such as your weight, muscle mass, and most importantly, your fitness goals. The average person will have completely different protein needs than a professional athlete or a 250-pound bodybuilder. With this in mind, I will now show you how much protein you need for 3 specific cases. First, to simply live a healthy life. Next, to build muscle. And lastly, to lose fat. The first case is the easiest. The US Department of Agriculture recommends 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day for the average person. Now, this value might seem very low to you, and that's because it is. 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight is more or less what is necessary for the average person to survive without any major deficiencies. Obviously, you don't just want to survive, so your daily intake should probably be a little higher than that. Depending on how active you are, I recommend 0.5 to 0.7 grams of protein for the average person not looking to build muscle. But what if you want to build muscle? This takes us to the second case. How much protein should someone consume who's working out and looking to grow muscle mass? If you ever joined a bodybuilding or fitness forum, then you will probably notice that this question pops up a lot and it usually triggers a lot of debate. I always smile when I read these discussions because people either post values that are way too high or way too specific. For example, they will tell you that you have to consume exactly 1.5 grams per pound of body weight or you will not build muscle at all. Of course, this is nonsense. What makes a lot more sense is to figure out a daily intake range that is in line with scientific studies and personal experience. If we look at the present research literature on protein intake for anyone looking to build muscle, the ideal daily intake always lies anywhere between 0.8 grams and 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you are below this range, your body will not build muscle at the optimal rate. Now, this doesn't mean that you won't build any muscle, just that if you fall below this range, your muscle growth could be better if you increased your protein intake by a bit. But the more interesting thing is that going above the ideal range doesn't bring any benefits. Our body can only build so much muscle at any time, even if you train perfectly and eat tons of protein. So instead of slamming down dozens of whey protein shakes a day, stick to the ideal range of 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound of body weight and you're good to go. Interestingly, this range is also pretty close to the old bro science advice of 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay, now what about the last fitness goal, where you want to lose fat instead of build muscle? Do the values I just gave you change? And the short answer is not really. When losing weight, your primary goal is always to maximize fat loss and preserve lean muscle mass. To achieve this, a high protein diet is very important. So again, stick to around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight per day, which definitely counts as a high protein diet. If you are at a severe calorie deficit, which I don't recommend by the way, you might even want to go a little higher than that. But 0.8 grams per pound of body weight is usually enough for most people. Follow this rule while eating mostly healthy foods, and I promise you that you will see results.